In this episode, we're going to be picking open and discussing the internals of this challenge lock, Tree Niner by Gabriel. Hey folks, welcome to Pugs Picks Locks. If you're new here, feel free to click that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you'll always be notified of new content like this when I release it. And if you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Click that like button and then leave a question or comment down below if you have one. I'm more than happy to engage with you in the comment section, either to answer any questions you may have or to receive any feedback you might have. I don't always get everything right, so if I got something wrong, or if there's something I could do differently, something I could do better, please let me know. I'm always looking to learn from all of you so that I can continue to grow my skill set, grow my knowledge base, and provide you with better and better content. Okay, so let's dive into this video with the shout out of the week. The shout out of the week is going to Gabriel, the maker of this fantastic challenge lock. For as prolific a challenge lock maker as he is, I find it absolutely incredible that he only has 149 subscribers on his channel. We need to do all we can to get his numbers up because he provides the Locksport community with such a service by building some of the most incredible challenge locks. They're elegant. The pins are intricate in design. It's really phenomenal, the work that he does and the amount of work that he puts into the Locksport community. So the least we can do is turn around and give him a few subs. Boost that number up a little bit. All right. So the lock that we are featuring this week is a challenge lock called Tree Niner, made by the shout out of the week, Gabriel. So the lock is called Tree Niner. It's based on an Ilco core. And I would love to show you the key, the bitting on the key, and show you that it's a functional lock, but I can't because the keys came to me mummified, and I decided to leave them that way. But we're going to go ahead and try to pick this open anyways. And you can see that there's some lovely engraving on the front. There's an engraving of a tree. And then on this side, it says Niner. So Tree Niner, which is kind of cool. But the pins are, I'm telling you, this was an incredibly challenging puzzle to solve. This lock was lent to me by Lady Locks. Apparently, Gabriel made it specifically for her. So I will be sending it back to her as soon as I'm done making this video. And thank you very much for letting me borrow it. It was an incredible challenge. I got the first open after maybe picking at it for about an hour. And that honestly was mindless picking while I was watching TV, just mindlessly moving the pick back and forth, and boom, I got an open. But I didn't really solve it. And in order to actually solve it, it took me about 12 hours, and 12 hours of work probably. And some of that was mindless picking, and some of that was very deliberate, focused effort. And it took about 12 hours, which is probably longer than it should have because I got a little bit stubborn with my approach. Unintentionally, I wasn't trying to be stubborn with it. I just, I have, for whatever reason, I have a tendency to fixate, and then I just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And in this case, what was holding me up is I have a tendency to start at the back of the lock, pin 5, and then work my way forward to pin 1, and just do that over and over again until I get an open. And sometimes I would get an open, sometimes, and it was always an accident. Like I bump a pin on the way out, pulling the pick out, or pulling the pick forward, or whatever. I bump a pin and it opens. It was always an accident. I wasn't able to open it consistently and deliberately until I changed my approach. And I probably should have done that much earlier than I did. But what I found is I need to start at the frontal lock and go from 1 to 5 over and over again. And that's the proper approach in order to solve this properly. Okay. We're going to go ahead and pick this open, and then we're going to talk about its innards. We're going to talk about the incredible pins that Gabriel built and some of the other modifications he made to the lock. I'm not going to gut it on camera because, Lady Locks had warned me ahead of time that there were pins within it. And that pin style means that there are small, moving, losable parts. And that I should be if I chose to gut it, I needed to be incredibly careful not to lose anything. I am absolutely certain that if I were to try to gut this on camera, I would lose pieces. Small bits and bobs would go flying everywhere. So I did gut it off camera. It took a lot of time to do it and a lot of care to do it. So I do have a photo to show you of what it looks like inside. And so we'll bring that up when we're talking about what's on the inside. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick this open. To pick it open, I'm going to be using this Bicycle Spoke Z wrench, my favorite tension wrench in the world. And we're going to be using this Southord Pagoda hook as a pick. So let's go ahead and get this arranged so that you can still see what's going on and it's at a more comfortable angle. All right, we're going top of the keyway tension here. Let's turn that a little bit more. Top of the keyway tension. For the most part, I'm going to be using really light tension. But the tension is going to vary as I pick. I'm telling you, there are times when the tension is so light, I'm not even touching the tension wrench. That's how light I get with this. I am cheating slightly. Here, I'll take it out of the clamp for just a moment and show you the back. You can see that the back of the plug, that moves. And so I am resting a finger on the back of the plug so that when I'm not touching the tension wrench, the force of the springs or anything else, I'm not going to drop pins because I'm kind of touching it loosely to prevent the core from over rotating back to its resting state. Okay, so let's lock that back up again. If I were picking this in the wild, I would be constantly just resting the finger with the most feather-light touch when I get to those parts where it requires that light of a touch. But for right now, my finger is resting on the back of the plug. So if you see me lift my finger off, that's how I'm doing it. All right. So we're going to start with light tension. And pin 1 is binding. And we get a click and a little bit of plug movement. Move to pin 2. Pin 2 is springy. I won't even say spring. It's floppy. It's like there is not even spring pressure on it. And we'll talk about that more when we look at the innards. So I moved to pin 3. Pin 3 is counter rotating. And I get a click. There's pin 4. I get a little click out of 4. Oh, counter rotating now. Nudge, nudge, nudge. You can see I've lifted my finger off of the tension wrench as I'm nudging it. Nudge, nudge, nudge. Still counter rotating. Nudge, nudge. Just nudging it gently. Click and until false set. And then I go to pin 5 and pin 5 isn't moving at all. Okay, so pin 1, floppy. Pin 2, floppy. Pin 3, counter rotating again. A little bit of a click. We've lost our false set. Another click. And we're back in the false set. Pin 4, counter rotating, and false set. Pin 5, nothing. We go back to pin 1, floppy. Pin 2, floppy. Pin 3, little click off of 3. Pin 4. Oh, I think I just dropped pin 3 back into the core. And then pin 4, 5, nothing. Let's start at the beginning again. Pin 1, floppy. Pin 2, floppy. Pin 3 did not come completely back down into the core. So that still feels good. Pin 4, little click. Now some counter rotation, another click, and we're in a pretty deep false set now. Pin 5. Okay, and now we're in a really deep false set. Generally, when you fall into a false set that is that deep, it's time to play Hunt the Spool. So we're going to go 1, pin 1, counter rotation, click, and we're open. Saltatory wiggle. Okay. I'm bringing up on screen right now a picture of the internals, and you can see. Let's start by talking about the springs. There are a variety of springs within this, and I don't know if you can tell, but in pin stack 4, that's actually a spring in spring. I mean, that's how much effort and thought J. Gabriel put into this. Not only are there varying strength springs, some of them are brass or bronze. I don't know the difference really. Some of them are steel, stainless steel. But different strength springs, different lengths, and a spring within a spring. So, and with 4, with pin stack 4, the way that manifests is that first click that I get, and you can see that 4 is a double spool, right? So when you when that first part of the spool clears the shear line, that's pretty much just one spring worth of pressure. The reason why I had to just nudge on pin 4 until I got it the rest of the way past the second section of the double spool is because all of a sudden the spring pressure got stronger because I hit the second spring within that particular pin stack. So, I mean, that's just a dirty trick right there. That's dirty pool. So we have that. And then moving on down from the springs, you can see in pin stack 5 and 2 what look like master wafers. Those aren't master wafers. Those are, I mean, they actually might be master wafers, but the purpose that they serve is they rest on top of the spring. And if you can see, both of those are pin-in-pin designs. And so you have an outer sleeve that's the diameter of a regular driver pin. And then you have an inner sleeve that's narrower. And that, if you didn't have those master wafers there, could easily slip up into the Bible and never come back down ever again because they're stuck and tangled up with the springs. So those wafers hold the internal pins in place. And man, that whole pin-in-pin thing, if you look at pins 1, 2, and 5, you have a pin-in-pin design. In pin 1, it's a captive pin. So that's not going to fly out, and so you don't need that master wafer holding the internal pin in place. But what that does is that is what caused that absolute floppiness in pins 1 and 2. That absolute floppiness where you're jiggling and jiggling and jiggling and nothing's happening. Because what you're feeling is the internal pin moving back and forth, moving up and down, as opposed to moving a normal pin. And so having that internal pin just slide back and forth with almost no pressure, it's not binding on the walls or anything like that. That's what caused that floppy jiggliness. And then if we look at pin 3, part of the reason why I had to futz with pin 3 so much and keep tickling it until it got into place is not only is it like, sort of like a double spool or a chess piece type of situation, but it's actually kind of a rattlesnake design. The spool portion actually slides up and down on a center post. And so that's why I had to futz with it so much to get it to set fully. Because, you set it and then it moves. The center part moves. 4, we already discussed my trouble with 4, with the spring and trying to set that double spool. And then 5, one of the things with 5 is I had to be very careful with 5 because not only is it a pin-in-pin design, it's also incredibly easy to overset. And you can see by the key pin there, that torpedo key pin, that if you overset that, it's really difficult to recover from that. And not only is that a torpedo key pin, but the plug is countermilled. There's countermilling on chambers 1, 3, 4, and 5. And so the pin, and if you look at the other key pins on 3, 4, and 5, you can see that they're serrated key pins. And so the serrations are interacting with the milling in the plug. And then the in the Bible, chambers 1, 3, 4, and 5 are also have counter milling, and so the driver pins are interacting with the counter milling there, and that's why some of the pins felt a little crunchy at points, and another reason why I had to continually futz with and just jiggle and touch and nudge, especially pins 3 and 4, because you had those narrow portions of the double spools interacting, those wider portions, the flanges interacting with the counter milling in the chambers. So this is a beautifully designed and built challenge lock, and I take my hat off to Gabriel. I do not have the fabrication skills nor the creativity to produce something like this, and I greatly admire his ability to do so. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, remember to drop a like and leave a comment or a question below. If you're new here, subscribe and ring the notification bell for more content like this. Until the next video, happy picking y'all.